All right, fellas, one last topic. Favorite Mike Tyson moment. Now, again, it doesn't have to be wrestling or boxing. It could be any moment in Mike Tyson's career. Favorite Mike Tyson moment. His entrance to the match against Michael Spinks. Remember that entrance, champ, and how he beat Michael Spinks in that match?
90 seconds. That was, remember, people don't understand. Remember, Michael Spinks ended the streak of Larry Holmes. People always give Larry Holmes flack because of, the late great Tupac, because, he mentioned Larry Holmes in some of his lyrics, but Larry Holmes was one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. And for him to beat Larry Holmes twice, when he was in date, when Larry Holmes was 48-0, right on the verge of breaking Rocky Marciano's record, that was special, man. So never under, and plus he was an Olympian.
Youngest heavy, as for Tyson, youngest heavyweight champion in the world at age 20. I told you, champ, even though 96, 98, it was NWO. But Bischoff knew, Eric Bischoff, the moment that WWF landed Mike Tyson back in 1998, he knew, oh shit, competition. And then Tyson joining DX, him and Austin. Remember the way when Austin flipped the bird on him? And then Jim Ross, Tyson and Austin, Tyson and Austin, Tyson and Austin. And then WrestleMania, him knocking out Shawn Michaels. Although in a weird way, because I've told this to Champ before, and the reason why I will thank Mike Tyson for this, although he's viewed negatively because of obviously of this photo right here. Anytime when I look at that photo, anytime when I look at that photo right here, I always ask myself, what the fuck did I get mad for? Anytime when I'm mad, anytime when I'm angry, anytime when I'm frustrated, I always ask myself, what the fuck did I get mad? Because I don't know, is it sadistic or diabolical or whatever? And again, Chad, I showed you the video of Holyfield with them headbutts.
Yeah. Holyfield was always considered cheap.
Well, he was known for being. I love Holyfield, but he was known for being an expert to headbutts. Remember Rockman? Remember how Rockman's head was swollen?
Yeah, he split his skull.
Yeah.
So,
but with Mike Tyson, of course, The Hangover. Him doing the Hangover movies, him being a star on Broadway. I swear, if I ever had a chance to do a podcast outside of BRF and Champ, Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson, I would literally, I feel like I'm in heaven if I would do a podcast with Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson, and I would ask them like any question from about women, from about their careers, Don King, Mike Tyson, Dennis playing with Michael Jordan, dealing with a lot of other things. I would love to do a podcast with Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson. That would be like a dream come true for me. And my other favorite Mike Tyson moment. Whew, other favorite Mike Tyson moment. There's a lot of them, but the Fat Joe story. Remember him, rest his soul, Big Pun. They were at a club and the bouncers. Remember that story, champ? And then Mike Tyson.
Yes, man. Look, PSP man. You send me a lot of stuff in regards to Mike Tyson that I even forgot, and I try to remember everything when it comes to sports. So you send me stuff that I even forgot at a certain point, man. So appreciate that. But that was that was a hell of a story.
But and of course the impersonations. Jamie Foxx, man, he does a lot of impersonations. He does a great Mike Tyson impersonation and President Trump impersonation as well.
The dog's gonna get out of here.
But BRF, what's your favorite Mike Tyson moment?
I kind of, even though him joining DX was like S tier, I kind of want to go to. I want to go to the boxing because I feel like at the end of the day, that was his, that was that's where he got his bread buttered. That's where he kind of established himself as one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen in any sport. I'm gonna go back to like when he got out of jail, the comeback, and I don't know why it sticks out. I don't know why the Peter McNeely fight sticks out so much, but it does for me for some reason. Even though we knew it wasn't going to be a long fight, but I guess it's just from the standpoint of Peter McNeely got on TV and made that little rap to my how he was going to handle Mike, and then Mike just mic'd and just ran through him. I don't know why, but that stands out for me because it's one of those where it's like I was rooting for him to kind of to get back to the top and become heavyweight champion again. Because like I was too young to see like Mike Tyson really like before the Robin Givens stuff and him going to jail. So I heard of him, but I was a little too young to really watch him. So my first really like good live action view of Mike Tyson was the initial comeback after he got out, and just seeing the way he fought and the way he moved, and you get to looking and you like, man, I see. So this the Mike Tyson and everybody was talking about winning the World Heavyweight Championship at 20. So this the guy, because if this the guy, it's gonna take a godlike effort to beat this man. I think the McNeely fight stands out because it was, I don't know, it's just I like seeing guys. I don't know. It's it. I kind of developed appreciation for guys who beat fighters who run their mouth before the fight. I don't know what it is, but I have like this because it's like, yeah, you can do all this talking before the fight is when we get between them ropes that really matters. And it was swift, it was quick, almost like if you want to, it was almost like execution style in boxing the way he beat Peter McNeil. I mean, it was like it was about one of the swiftest things I've ever seen. And then and honestly, the Frank Bruno fight. I mean, Frank Bruno. I mean, winning the champ. I mean, beating Frank Bruno, winning the title. I mean, like Mike Tyson was just like, we do all these comparisons nowadays as far as like who would win in a fight between this person and that person, and the one we always do is Tyson and Ali. But you know what? At the end of the day, I respect that. I respect him and what he brought to boxing, and like the fact he had his own style. I mean, okay, he wasn't like the best as far as like if you get him past 5-6 rounds, okay, still whatever. But even still though, he was his own. He had his own style. He made it work, and I mean, he was just a dominant individual at his peak. So yeah, I would probably go like those two fights that stand out for me, just from the sheer standpoint of like seeing his dominance displayed, and there's plenty of fights that he displayed his dominance, but those two, from a boxing standpoint, really just stood out to me. So I would probably pick those two.
Champ.
Frank Bruno Part 2 when he won back the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, He beat him
That
like
was a
he
great
should.
moment.
Yeah, when he won the heavyweight championship once again. Man, Mike Tyson was a big. Hey, man, there's a reason why the late great Biggie Smalls mentioned him in the song. Long nights I perform like white. Anyone
Anyone,
Tyson,
Tyson, Jordan, Jackson.
action. Mike Tyson was a devastating puncher, and the only thing, as great as he was, his career is a what if story. Because you think
What?
about what if Costi Amato had lived? What if Jimmy Jacobs had lived? Where would his career be? And could they have been, would he have been able to hold on to the title for a little bit longer? You know, because once he lost Costi Amato, it was kind of the beginning of the end, you know, as far as his career was concerned. Then, you know, Jimmy Jacobs, he was the one holding on. Then, unfortunately, Jimmy Jacobs, he passes away. So you got to wonder if those two live, where's his career right now? I understand people are going to say at the end of the day, you're grown, but when you have no structure as a child and then you come into a lot of money and you ain't got no structure as an adult, that's a hard thing to come into because usually you're not going to be able to buy your way out of everything. And then especially when you're getting involved with guys like Don King. So you got to think about that. But Frank Bruno part 1 and 2, he beat him down. I remember Steve Harvey made a joke about Mitchell Green when he fought Mitchell Green in his eye. You know, remember that you remember that joke on Def Comedy Jam with he was talking about how Mitch Green was talking like this, right? This Steve Harvey joke. He said, I remember Mitch Green, I was talking just like this. So gotta be that fight. I never forget my cousin. Me and my cousin was watching a rerun of that fight, and I never forget. Shout out to my cousin. He was like, "Oh my God, he knocked the juice out of his head." So that's you got to get. Look, when people say that Tyson never had a cagey opponent, they're lying. His name was Donovan Razor Ruddock. He beat Razor Ruddock 2 times, and that was one of the best fighters that he ever faced. That he beat. They had a 2-fight trilogy, and he beat them both times. So when people say, well, he lacked the cagey opponent, no, it was Razor Ruddock. Razor Ruddock was one hell of a fighter. Donovan Razor Ruddock. Let's not sell him short because people want to remember other fighters for what, you know, they want to remember them for. Man, Mike Tyson's punch out, you know, nobody could. Look, if you would have told me that you could have beat it without YouTube, I'd have told you were a liar. Because ain't no way. Well, ain't no way. He was one of the original final bosses of the game that you just could not beat. So yeah, gotta give that credit. When he was on the song with Cannabis, second round knockout, when he was on that song, that was a great moment. When he checked the reporter in Canada, that was that was Tyson. I commend you for that because dude didn't have to bring that up. That was kind of ill-mannered of him to say that. And he and the only thing he said, World Live TV, he said, "I don't care what you gonna do about it." He's like, he said, "You Tyson, what am I gonna do about it?" So, and yeah, he really checked. And I think that reporter deserved it. He didn't have to bring that up. Nobody was really talking about that, you know. But it's funny how you come off as a nice guy, but you're really a piece of crap, you know. All of his fights were great, but Trevor Berbick stands out to me because he just could not stand up after he got knocked down. When you go back and look at the Trevor Berbick fight, God rest his soul, he just couldn't stand up. He just kept falling and kept falling, no matter how much he tried to get back up. It was just it. You knew it was it. There would never be another. The funniest thing about boxing in the heavyweight division that I say, It hasn't been the same since he left. It hasn't been the same. We all love Deontay Wilder. We all love Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, those guys. But to have a heavyweight that's a powerhouse, that's a pay-per-view box office, that is something special to me. And not only that, Mike Tyson was not that big of a heavyweight. He was only 205.
And he wasn't that tall either.
He was
They
only
put
that.
him at 5'10", but my therapist, she has actually told me, and I still argue with her to this day, she thinks Mike Tyson 5'4". I'm like, nah, Mike Tyson got to be at least 5'9", 5'10".
He's at least 5. Well, I'm taller than Mike because the thing is, and I'm 6'1.5" on after I take my vitamins in the morning. And I know this because I never forget one of my best friends. He's around 5'10", 5'9". He took a picture next to Mike Tyson, and they was like shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, damn, man, I tower over you. I'm like, he said, yeah, he over there just chopping people down. He wasn't a big heavyweight, and when you go back and look early in his career, he moved like he was a cruiserweight or a lightweight. That's how much speed he had.
And the uppercut, that uppercut punch that he had, and plus he had the reason why people love about Mike so much is because he was one of the few that made it. I mean, considering the fact that he was arrested 38 times by the time he was 12, 13 years old.
Yes.
And was sent to formatory school and then got trained by the legendary great boxing trainer Customado, who thought that he was going to be the next great heavyweight champion. And when you look at Mike Tyson's career, because I mentioned it, champ, had Mike Tyson had Jim Jacobs and Customado and not been with Don King, how would Mike Tyson's career have been? It was great, but it could have been even greater.
He probably
and that's the thing that is always going to be a question with Mike. But with Mike, I'm happy that he has turned around his career because obviously he's been through a lot of obstacles. You know, obviously prison, drugs, alcohol. I mean, the tragic death of losing his 4-year-old daughter. But for him to turn around his career and to be where it is right now, it's amazing. And him boxing, I mean, the way he had to get in shape for the Roy Jones Jr. match, the Jake Paul match, and I loved how Snoop did a hell of a job commenting on the Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson match, man. But with Mike Tyson, whoever thought Mike Tyson of all people, Broadway. He had the cartoon show, but Broadway, champ. Broadway with Mike Tyson.
Yeah. And that post-fight interview with Roy Jones was very, very telling. And it was like, remember that post-fight interview with, after he went the distance with Roy Jones, he was like, what do you say about people that was concerned about you getting hurt? He said, what do you mean he might get hurt? Why? I'm afraid I might get hurt. Why nobody care about my ass? He said, this dude, I ain't been boxing for almost 10 years. And y'all care about him. He said, I haven't fought in 10 years. I haven't fought in 10 years. He just got through fighting 2 years ago. I'm not a fighter. I'm a beginner. So that was a very, very telling. It was a very, very telling and a very, very comical. It was very, very comical and quite colorful, if you will. It was a quite colorful post-match interview. And look, for you to have a rise, a fall, and then a rise once again is, hey, man, there's a lot of favor from God on you, man. You go from being bankrupt, making over $300 million, and one of the richest boxers in the world. And that's just your purses. That's not even including the endorsements that you had. Remember, at one point, Mike Tyson was bigger than any athlete on earth. He was bigger. I mean, when Jay-Z said 30 mil for one fight, he was doing that back in the 80s.
Yep. That's how big he was.
That's when football players, when making $1 million a year, was a lot of money. 30 million for one fight.
And plus, chap, I don't want to bring this up, but the reason why we had the reason why I had him as a babyface, if you look at the rape case that he dealt with at the time, I mean, come on, Vincent Fuller.
Yeah, he had that tax lawyer on his case. That was a
What the hell is going on in Miami? You said that's like going to Vietnam with a BB gun.
Exactly. It's like going to Vietnam with a BB gun. He was a taxes lawyer. He was not built for a defense. It was not like you walked up in the joint with Johnny Cochran in there. But I digress. But it was a lot of controversy behind that. It was a lot of innuendo about it. There was a lot of innuendo about how they found new things. That's how come it was released early. There was a lot behind that. But, depending on who you ask, they'll tell you they'll hold that against them. Like I said, they bought, the reporter, like I stated earlier, he brought that up years later, which I feel that was very unnecessary. I wouldn't have brought it up.
No, I wouldn't have brought it up. Now, I believe if you wanted to talk about Mike regarding that situation, that could have been a different conversation for another day. Mm-hmm. But you didn't have to bring it up right on the spot just like that. But Mike, man, just his turnaround, the rise, the fall, the redemption. I mean, to your point, champ, I mean, with God. And I consider him a babyface because, again, he just keeps me going and keeps me moving. I mean, Mike Tyson is 59 years old. I thought at one point, I thought Mike Tyson was at some point was going to die. It's amazing to me that he's still living, and God bless him. God bless
and was able to put on hey, look, and if that fight wouldn't have been, and if he didn't agree to a nice little payday, he probably would have won that Jake Paul fight, which everybody was hoping that he was going to just sneak one. He was going to squeeze an inch in there, give him one of them rights, which he had every opportunity to. But
would you love to see another Tyson Jake Paul match again?
No. If they're gonna restrain Mike like they did, because Mike had every time and opportunity to knock that dude out. And as a former fighter, I saw the open. I'm like, oh, there it is. He wide open. Mm-hmm. And then Tyson was pulling punches, but hey, that's a little nice little pay. Look, for $20 million, I go out there and give everybody a good little show and see what give everybody a good little show. It's what it is. $20 million. That's a lot of damn money.
It is.